Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, and welcome back to the Lift, where our focus is mental health, movement, and motivation. I cannot think of a better topic to dive into today than the importance of the mental health vote. You don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Some people are focused on the votes for the environment, votes around finances, taxes, right to life, right to choose, all very noble and righteous aspects. But I want to really, with a laser focus, talk about this mental health vote. You've no doubt heard thousands of people over the last 7 or 8 months talk about these unprecedented times. And folks, they are not lying. These are unprecedented times. I can tell you, this is a long running channel over a decade. I have never, ever been compelled or felt the need to utilize this platform to talk about any political race or any political candidate, what have you. But let me tell you, this is my territory. I didn't go out looking for a conversation about politics, but it landed squarely in my territory. Hit my point home with an analogy. Last year, I was in Florida on a trip, and we were in this area where beautiful body of water, and you saw all these signs about beware, there's an alligator here. No one ever intentionally kind of meanders into the water expecting to get bit by an alligator, but if you're in their territory, hey, you've been warned, the signs are there. So having said that, I will say this: mental health is my focus for over 24 years. It's where I've dedicated my lifetime and energy. And this presidential race, this is about a lot of things. We could have conversation on a million different topics, but front and center for a variety of reasons is mental health. Mental health, it has weaved its way throughout every aspect of this election cycle, from what we're going through as the electorate, as citizens, to what we're witnessing in general from the body politic. We can see mental health neon signs are flashing, in this conversation that drives mental health. We think about it in more or less a singular way. Okay, mental health, it's really about what goes on in your head, and it's not. That's just one aspect of mental health. The greater part of mental health is also how you respond to what is happening in your environment, how you process what is happening in your environment. And right now, we are living in a deeply toxic and stressful environment. And most people, I mean, we're very resilient creatures. We really are. And most people can withstand the stress and the toxicity. We can do that. We've done that for hundreds of thousands of years. Where we're running into a problem and where this situation is dramatically different is something called emotional recovery time. That's a term that we use, therapists, social workers, psychologists, we use that term frequently. Emotional recovery time. It's the time that you would have to catch your breath before a trauma or a drama, before another shoe would drop. In the circumstances that we're in, you can't, every night on the news, there is something new. There is another crisis. There is another full blown fire, and we need to get the trucks out, and then the sirens are going. And we have another psychological construct. It's called a Parad's roller coaster model. And simply put, it means, we can make it and trauma can resolve. And either we're going to do that in a functional way or a dysfunctional way. But we need a certain amount of recovery time to do that. And folks, I think you would agree that this has been one of the most tumultuous times in our history, and we can barely breathe in the process. One of the things that I ask every single client when they're coming in for support is, talk to me about your protective factors. What are protective factors? Protective factors are the things, let's call them, they are your personal screen door. Anything that would cushion the blow in hard times, that would keep the snow and the wind and the rain from hitting you right in the face. That's a protective factor. My Yorkie is a protective factor. My daughter, my husband, getting up and walking every day is a protective factor. My friendships, my work, these are all protective factors. And there's one protective factor that it's very easy to leave it off the table, but I want to put it right center stage. Leadership in times of crisis is also a protective factor. Leadership is not just a punchline for someone with minimal protective factors. It is literally a lifeline. As I think about the millions of people in this country, everyone doesn't have a little Yorkie or a warm, cozy bed to climb into. There are people in this country going through real devastation. They have lost jobs. They may be the sole breadwinner in their family. Before COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter movement, there were people who were severely compromised emotionally, spiritually, every which way. I think about what it would have meant for a person in those circumstances to hear a leader say to them, whether it's coming from a radio, whether it's coming from a television screen, but to hear a leader say, we are in challenging times, but we're going to pull together. And I've got your back. We're going to make it through this together. We can conquer COVID-19 together. That's a message from someone who understands, I am a protective factor. My role in this world is a protective factor for millions of people. What it would have meant for millions of Black, brown, and white families as a collective, when the shock, when we all collectively looked at this man lose his life with an officer having a knee on his neck, the trauma of that, what it would have meant to have a leader, again, coming from a TV, radio, what have you, to say, your smartphone, let me tell you something, without no apologies, no one needing to cajole me to say this. This is wrong. Your life matters. The lives of Black and brown people matter. As a collective, we want you to understand and know that we move forward in this country as a unit, and we're going to work to resolve, to remedy this, to make it better. That message would have been a protective factor for millions of people watching on. But that is not what happened. What happened was a stance of looking the other way, not dealing with it directly, and that pollutes the environment. That creates a level of stress and duress that people have to process in their daily lives while keeping it moving forward. The messages around, conflicting messages around COVID-19 and don't wear the mask and we're going to make this political, maybe you should put it on. That is a stressor that the average man, woman, and child has to process that. And most people are doing that very unconsciously. But from an energetic perspective, a mental health perspective, it wears you down day by day. And the fallout, whether we want to look at this and accept it or not, the fallout is experienced in grocery stores with frayed nerves and isolation. People are isolated in their homes, lack of communication, lack of consistent messaging. It absolutely takes a toll. I thought about, what if a universal, let's call it the universal American, which I've created just for the sake of sharing this message. The universal American is someone who is comprised of all of us, the best of all of us. Let's just say that this person is biracial, 43-year-old man. What would I say if this universal American came into my office seeking treatment and looked me in the eyes and said, Sheila, I'm not sleeping at night. I am torn apart within myself. Keep in mind, it's a universal American, and we are all torn apart. Sheila, I'm torn apart. I've been diagnosed with COVID-19. I go to work. I'm dealing with the stress and the fallout of the Black Lives Matter movement. My finances are up in the air because of the state of the economy, and on, and just gave me a checklist. What would I say to this person? This universal American who comprises the very best of all of us. I would say what I have said to so many individuals, men, women, and children over the years. We can resolve all of that. This whole giant list, it seems like it's insurmountable. We can resolve all of that. But the first thing I need you to do is get to safety. You need to get somewhere where it's calmer and we can dive in and start doing this work. Do you have such a place? And if this were the universal American that I speak of, they would look at me and say, yes. And I would know exactly what they're talking about. That place of universal safety for the universal citizen is the voting booth. It is your vote. This is how you get to safety. We can heal. We can do this. We can hit the reset button. But first, we need to get to safety and calm all of this down. And this is done. And I'm, again, without apology, the mental health vote that I endorse is the Biden and Harris ticket. Again, a first for me on my platform, but I feel strongly about this message from my soul. And a request, please, no one in my inbox. I don't want to hear this stuff. You're against the president. I am not against the president. When he won the presidency, as I hope all Americans said to themselves, this man, Donald Trump, deserves an opportunity. And he got that opportunity from me, a fair shot, because this is also what I know. Anyone who is at the helm of the ship, if they fail, we fail with them. I knew that if this man failed, I was going down with him. And right now, the water is right up to here. The ship is going down. And this has nothing to do with any personal feelings about this man. I don't know Donald Trump. I have never sat with him. In this work, that I do and that I love, I am trained to see the very best in the individuals that I work with. I do my best to see the humanity in all people. I can see his humanity. I can see his vulnerability. I can say something wonderful about him. I think he's a hell of an entertainer and he has an iron will. You got to give that to him. But what we need right now is not an entertainer. And what we need right now is not someone who leads with an iron will. We need to heal. And in addition to all those things that I see in this man, I can also tell you I see trauma and I see some unresolved issues. I have not sat with him professionally. I do not know all the innards of what went on in his past, but I've been around long enough. I'm a keen observer, and I can tell you right here and now, this is the mental health channel, that there are issues going on inside of this man that are not resolved, and they put us all at risk. And unresolved trauma and mental health issues will play themselves out on a playground. They play themselves out in corporate America every day. And you better believe they can play themselves out in a presidency. We're seeing this unfold. And you can have mental health issues, things may not be quite right. You can squeak by in leadership if the people who are next to you are keeping you in check. But it seems we're compromised on that level as well. The people who are next to him are compromised in terms of their ability to chime in, to balance the imbalance that we can all see. And I'm telling you right now, it has put us at risk and it will continue to put us at risk. And as I think of another 4 years, the only visual that comes to my mind, you've seen those movies with King Kong, and he is, there's these iron bars and shaking it. Can the democracy withstand? Can the democracy that we have created, that we hang our hats on, this is where we make our lives, where we raise our children, can we withstand another 4 years? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't have a crystal ball, but I wouldn't bet on it. I would not bet on it. I think back, I am not a historian, but I am a student of history. And I look at all of the major downfalls and the calamities and the atrocities that human beings have inflicted upon one another. And it happened because of apathy. There's no exception that I could find in history where there was not massive oppression, exploitation, abuse, flat out abuse of power, where there was not some form of apathy and looking the other way. We have an opportunity. It's a narrow window of time. I believe as I record this, we're inside of a window of about 5 to 6 days. 5 to 6 days to change the course of history. And if anyone, I'll tell you, I'm not here to judge anyone's life or anyone's politics, but I think the vast majority of people, if you search your soul, you will find a lot of common sense truth in what I am sharing with you today. And I encourage you and I urge you, look yourself in the mirror if you have not already voted, and ask yourself, what legacy do I want to be a part of? Again, my full endorsement is behind the Biden-Harris ticket. Not because I know them, because I met them, because I'm voting a straight mental health ticket. That's my ticket. Who can restore the calm uh, to America? We can get back to something that would resemble normalcy. And we all have a role in that. Again, I thank you for your time. This is Sheila Robinson Kiss. Get out that vote, America.